Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for GutCheck's education series. Today we're talking with Matt Warta, GutCheck's CEO, about trends in social media, what he's seeing, and tips for how you can make sense of it all. Thanks for joining us today, Matt. We're looking forward to hearing your insights.
Thanks, Heather. We're really excited to talk about this topic today.
Okay, so why don't we get started? Social media is still the hottest topic in marketing. What are trends that GutCheck sees happening in this space?
Yeah, we see a couple trends, one from a marketing perspective and one from an insights perspective. From a marketing perspective, I think people are growing weary of investing in a like. And I suspect if you're a brand manager and you go to a CMO with a big budget around generating some likes, they're going to look at you kind of funny. And I think the world is kind of onto the notion that we need to get a lot deeper than a like from a social media perspective. And a good example of this is Grey Poupon. They came up with this great new campaign, which is really leveraging an old campaign that they had, where somebody in a limo pulls up to another fancy car and rolls down the window and says, "Pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon?" And the way they're leveraging that is within their Facebook page, they're running an algorithm to see if customers fit the target audience before they can actually like Grey Poupon on Facebook. And so I think that's a wonderful example of a sophisticated marketer saying that the average like really doesn't mean a whole lot, but if we can get likes that are actually our customers, then it can be meaningful. The second part of this is that I think brands are going to get riskier with social media. And I believe the reason why is there's just so much noise out there from a marketing perspective, not only online, but with all the different channels of communication to the customer. And the only way to get above the noise is to do riskier things and do more novel, creative things. And I think you'll see this much more with brands that are limited in terms of budget. One great example of this is the Barter for Bacon campaign that Oscar Mayer has going. It's a wonderful campaign where this guy is traveling across the country armed with 3,000 packages of bacon. And that is all he has to get across the country. And he's been doing a wonderful job of it. He's gotten tickets to football games. He's got free lodging at places, etc. And I don't know what the stats are on this campaign, but it's been a wonderful success for them for this new kind of bacon that they have that has come out.
Well, that's one way to do a cross-country trip, not to mention a memorable campaign. So let's talk about some of the challenges GutCheck clients are talking about.
I think most marketers are scratching their heads in terms of the insights they're able to glean from these social media and monitoring platforms. They're trying to understand if these are actually even their customers talking, and with that sentiment there, what it actually means. The great thing about social media, as we know, is everybody can participate. The bad thing about social media is everybody can participate. And that's what brands are really challenged by. They don't know if it's their customers talking or if it's some casual passerby. And right now, both voices are equally weighted. So with these social media monitoring listening platforms, one of the great things about them is that you can get this real-time information that you never could before, which is fantastic. But the first generation of these platforms, and I still think we're on the first generation, the information that marketers and brands are able to glean is too high level. You can gain some pretty basic demographics, whether they're male, female, maybe their age, and then you can drill down to a tweet. But insights don't come from 140 characters at a time. So at GutCheck, we believe that the next wave of social media monitoring is figuring out a way to understand what those directional signals mean at a high level, and then go out and talk to customers and figure out what it means at an actionable insights level. And we believe that the next platform of services and technology is going to allow brands and marketers to do that.
Okay, great. Sounds like there's some exciting things to look forward to. With that in mind, can you give us an example of how GutCheck has already helped a client solve problems related to social media signals?
One of our customers is an agency called 360i. They're one of the top 10 digital agencies in the country, and they've used us for a lot of different projects. And 360i is unique in that they really leverage social media monitoring and listening as a key part of the insight process with the campaign work that they do. They found, just like I was talking about before, that sometimes it's very hard to distinguish whether the people that they're listening to in the social media world are actually customers of their clients or not. Further, they're able to gain some high-level information in terms of creative content for the campaigns that they're doing through social media monitoring and listening. But oftentimes they need to dig down much further to really kind of draw out the insights that are going to create a compelling campaign. One of the projects was to help drive insight around creating a recipe site for one of their biggest customers. They were listening to mothers. They looked at over 1,000 tweets on Twitter, and they found out that mothers were looking for inspiration when they were doing their meal preparation and planning for their dinners. But again, when you're looking at 140 characters at a time, it's really hard to understand what inspiration really means. So 360i went out, leveraged our platform, and went and talked to many mothers about what inspiration meant to them when they were preparing meals for their family. And one of the key insights that they were able to glean is that many of them were using Pinterest to draw inspiration when they were cooking. And you might say, well, hey, that's pretty obvious. Pinterest is a huge presence online now. But this was over 12 months ago when Pinterest was a fraction of the traffic that it is today. So they were able to really kind of look at what makes Pinterest a compelling property and use a lot of those design elements in the recipe site they were able to create for their client.
Well, that's a great way to leverage social media signals. So what's your final advice for marketers that are thinking about getting more insight out of their social media platforms and reporting?
Oftentimes, our clients are getting these social signals from their media and listening platforms, and they're doing nothing with them. They don't want to use traditional research methods because there's not enough time, there's not enough money. So our customers are finding that if they leverage GutCheck along with their social media listening initiatives, now what they can do is once they find something interesting, whether it be a tweet, whether it be some sentiment that's trending, they can launch one of our communities literally in minutes and be conversing with 40, 50 folks in their target market. They can probe back and forth and understand what it is they're talking about in the social sphere, what that trend means, whether it's important or not, so they can figure out what they need to do about that literally that day versus waiting weeks, if not a month.
That is exciting. Well, thanks for taking the time to chat with us today, Matt, and for sharing what you're seeing. And thanks to all of you for joining us. We'll catch you for the next GutCheck education series.